Hey everyone, welcome to Yoga with Adriene. I'm Adriene. Today we're tackling the question, what is a vinyasa? This comes up a lot and it's a totally awesome question because it's confusing. We go to public classes and the teacher's like, and vinyasa, vinyasa, mufasa. So first things first, we'll break this down very quickly for you. First things first is, like most Sanskrit terms, the word vinyasa has many meanings. The first thing we'll do is break down the word. The Sanskrit word vinyasa means to place. The first part means to place nyasa in a special way. So forget about that chaturanga to up dog for a second and just think about that the Sanskrit term itself means to place in a special way. Now, I'm not trying to get on my Sanskrit high horse or my yogic high horse here, but I feel like that's really cool and really important, especially as a beginner, but even for anyone who might be listening to this, wanting to kind of deepen your practice and embrace the yogic philosophy in your asana practice and hopefully in your everyday life. So to place in a special way. For me, that brings up the idea of, intention, to move with intention. So honestly, there are many definitions to the word vinyasa and for this vinyasa, but to place in a special way, I feel like my favorite definition is definitely like, how do you move with intention? To move with intention. So that brings me to another way of interpreting this word vinyasa, and that is a systematic approach to moving from one point to the next with the breath. So very important with the breath, moving from point A to point B with the breath. So we have this idea of moving with intention, and now we have this understanding or this idea of moving from one pose to the next, or just moving from point A to point B with the breath. So with breath and intention. Now to like to the confusing question, but I look at a yoga schedule and I see there's a vinyasa class. So linking body movement with the breath has become, this very popular way to get the heart rate going, to flow in and out of the postures. So using my hands a lot. So we also will refer to this word as, flow, a flow class, a vinyasa class. So you know what to expect when you show up to that class, to link breath and body movement, probably moves at a semi-swift pace if you're in the West. And then the final kind of practical thing that you might be wondering, well, what about when I'm in that vinyasa class and the teacher says, and now take your vinyasa or rest, And that is looking at the word in a whole nother way, but still with the same principles of moving with intention, linking body movement with breath. And that is that little sequence between our downward facing dogs. So that moment between Adho Mukha and Adho Mukha, usually. And so typically that'll be lowering down to the belly, opening your heart in cobra, moving with the breath, and then exhaling back to down dog. Or again, really common in the West and in these kind of more fast-paced classes, we will, and we do them here on the channel as well, we will take that opportunity, that vinyasa, as a chaturanga to upward facing dog, and then a return to downward facing dog. So I hope I'm not confusing you. There are lots of meanings to the word vinyasa. There are also these practical applications, the name of the class, the noun, the moment between the downward facing dogs. But if we really go back to the root of the Sanskrit word, we're talking about moving with intention and using the breath as a tool to do just that. So hopefully this helped you figure out the word vinyasa. It doesn't always have to be that fancy chaturanga to up dog to perform a vinyasa. If you're in a class and that moment comes along and you're not prepared to do that, or you're working on shoulder stuff, or you're just growing that chaturanga, as long as you're moving with your breath, you're doing it right. You're doing it awesome. So anyway, that's all for today. Keep the questions coming. We love to respond to the requests because it means that we're having a real conversation. We're not just yoga robots. Wore this shirt especially for you. It's my first time to wear it in a long time. I made this when I was in 5th grade for track and field day. That might be an overshare, but I think it's pretty cool. Okay, anyway, take good care, everyone. We'll see you next time. Free yoga videos every Wednesday. Join the conversation. Namaste. That was really cheesy, sorry.